Hi, welcome back to Stitchity Doodle. I am Gail, the host of this channel, and today I have my sidekick, Miko, and she'll be assisting me today with my makes. Before we get started, there's one thing I want to say, and that is thank you to Julie from KS Mom Crochets for sending many of you folks over to my channel, and because of that, I got a lot of subscribers, more than what I started off with. So thank you for coming, watching my videos, and liking, subscribing, and commenting. So thank you so much, Julie. You're a sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's go ahead and get started. This is our third video in this series where we will be tackling our UFOs since the beginning of my crochet journey 3 years ago. And this week I have been productive, I think, and I finished 9 projects, and to me that's exciting because I started off with 48 UFOs in the beginning of August. And if you're curious and want to know which 48 UFOs they are, you can go see my first video, which is actually our very first YouTube video, and I will be showing you all of the UFOs there. You can also see the projects that I'm finishing today and see what I had to start off with prior to finishing them this week. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first finished object is Jasmine, and if you look at my first video, you'll notice that she is bald and I think naked. All she had was, I believe, underwear just down here. And so during this week, I finished her hair. I started it from scratch because I didn't have it crocheted. So I had to crochet it, attach it, give her these little ponytail holders, I don't know, and this band here, and she's got a separate little bun. And in last week's video I told you that for my dolls I take really long time because I take the time to stitch down each strand on both sides, and so yeah, she took me quite a while. So I did her hair. So her clothes, her pants were already semi-made, so I had to finish up her pants. Her shoes are actually part of the pattern, so this is part of her foot, so it doesn't come off. This, the pants and the top were quite tricky to make because I had to put it onto her body and sew it together, so they're not removable. But that part of it was quite challenging, was to put it on them and sew it shut in the back. I didn't quite like that process, but it's part of the pattern, and that's how the clothes just gets on her body. It would have been impossible to slip this on as one piece. Her head's this big, her hips this wide, and I might have gotten away with maybe her pants slipping it on there, but I wasn't going to take the chance because putting on tight clothes, not fun. Let's see. Also, her face. So she had eyes, but I did give her, let's see, I did give her some whites under here and some eyelashes and some eyeliner up there, and then her eyebrows and her nose. And also I love giving my dolls some cheeks because it adds life to them. And to finish her up, I took about 2 days. Again, hair takes forever. And then the stitching on the clothes was kind of tricky to get it on the body and stitch it closed. Not the funnest part, but I do love the finished product. And this pattern is from Green Frog. I love her patterns. She has a bunch of Disney patterns. My favorite Disney patterns as far as princesses are concerned. So again, I will have my links down below if you are interested in any of the patterns that I show here today. But this is my first finished object. My second finished object is this koala. He comes from the book Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pow 2. She actually has 3 books out. I currently own her first and second, but her third book is on my wish list. But he comes out of the second book, Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pow, and the designer's name is Schenkel. And let's see, I had to snow on.
Guys, I had to snow on his nose.
I had to sew on his snout, give him a smile. Eyes were already there. I gave him his, but this pattern is quite unique, I think, because I've never seen a koala with, these are actually pom-poms for his ears, for his hairy, fuzzy ears. They're pom-poms, and they fit inside of this, like a cup-shaped ear. So I thought that was pretty unique about this pattern. And then also his snout, that's kind of unique. I mean, I wasn't supposed to stuff it as much as I did. It says to lightly stuff, and sometimes I skim over patterns and I don't quite read the fine details until it's too late. So I tried taking out some to kind of flatten it, but this is as best as I could get. But yeah, his schnoz is out there. And so let's see. I sewed on his snout, gave him a mouth, sewed on the ears because the ears were not attached. I made his pom-pom fuzzy ears. I attached his arms. I had to do the detail stitching here. It's not the best work. I made this quite a long time ago, and so I think I would have done it differently, but oh well. And let's see. Gave him some pink embroidery cheeks. And I believe that was it. And he took me about 4 hours to finish and complete and check him off of my to-do list or UFO list. Okay, so this is my second finished object. Okay, so for my third finished object, this was not actually in my first original video. So he is actually a 49th UFO. He got forgotten because he was so big, he couldn't fit in the frame. And so he kind of got tossed off to the side and forgotten about. So he is number 49 of my UFOs. And he was nearly done, 99.999% finished. Only thing that was missing was, and here he is in his full glory. And so the only thing I had to do was just sew on this tip here. This piece was missing. And then I had a bunch of loose ends that had to be sewn in. But he was practically done, but not complete nonetheless, because unless they're 100% complete, they are part of my UFO list. I don't like to have things, well, I lied because I've had 48 UFOs for 3 years, so 49, excuse me, thank you, Miko. 49 UFOs for 3 years before I finished them, but I don't like to call them complete because they're things that I need to do, so I can't exactly check it off. And I like to check off things when they're complete. So I feel accomplished when I can check things off. But so I was inspired by Krista from The Secret Yarnery. She had I believe Heidi Bear's turtle in the background, and I thought it was so cool. I mean, look at it. They're flowers. I had never done the African flower before. And then on top of that, it's sewn together in such a way that it creates like cool stuff like this. And I mean, it just fascinates me that you can take geometric shapes, sew them together, and create familiar 3D objects that we know today. That just blows my mind. And then it's made out of yarn and it's beautiful. I mean, look at this. This is so cool. So I was intrigued. I looked up the pattern. She mentioned the pattern comes from Heidi Bear, so I went to her Etsy shop, checked out all her patterns, and yeah, I picked one out and I'm super excited. This is huge. Look at it. Huge. Ginormous. I think I might use him as a footstool. I don't know,
So
but
mean.
well, I mean, I'm short. He's just about there. I mean, it'll be comfortable. My feet will be nice and comfy. I don't know.
So cute. Let me use him as a footstool.
Let me know in the comments below what you think I should use him for. I mean, he's like home decor and footstool, you know, pretty cool. But yeah, so he took me about 2 hours to finish. Yeah, practically done 99.9999%. But the thing that took me 2 hours is I forgot how to stitch it on, because it's kind of like join as you go method when you're attaching these African flowers. And so I totally forgot. It's been years. I mean, 3 years in the making. And during the time, I had forgotten how to do the stitching, what hook size I use. So I just grabbed one, guessed, and just went with it. It looks fine. But yeah, 2 whole hours because I had to figure out, well, what the heck and how to do this joining together. So there you go. Okay, so for my 4th finished object, I have this Christmas fairy. Again, she was nearly finished, 99.99999% finished. So to finish her, it took me 15 minutes. All I did was her eyebrows and her eyes. Oh, and her little tiny cheeks. So I didn't do the blush. It was embroidered in the original pattern. I might maybe add a little bit of blush just to give her a little bit more life. I don't know, we'll see. But she was part of a Christmas Crochet Along that I did, I believe, last year, 2021. But, so the designer is MariahHandmadeDesign, and it was part of the Holly Jolly Christmas Crochet Along 2. And that was on IG. And, the actual designer's name is Maryangela Alves. But again, I will have all of my links down below in case you are interested. But she is super cute. My 5th finished object is this tree pouch. You might be able to see something peeking out there. Somebody. Let's see. That's a beak, an owl beak. But let's open it up, shall we? Okay, so it's an actual tree pouch, and we've got little critters in here. So this is a fox. Here's a squirrel. Here's an owl. So what you saw in the earlier shot was its beak. And an acorn. So all of this fits in here. So last time during my UFO video, the tree was already done. So was the acorn. the owl was not finished. The body was made, but I had to attach its eyes and beak. The eyes are buttons. This pattern is by Sharon Ojala, or Amigurumi to go. And she had the eyes, the white part was crocheted, but it was so tiny and I didn't want to use teeny tiny yarn to make it small. So I thought, wait a minute, this looks like a size button that I might have in white. So I checked out in my stash, and sure enough, I had buttons that worked out perfectly. So I actually like that and prefer that because in my last video, I mentioned that I love incorporating other materials in my amigurumi, such as felt, fabric, buttons, ribbons, jute, twine, anything that is not yarn, because I think it brings it to another level of sophistication, in my opinion. And so I just glued on the button, and this black portion is felt, glued that on, and then the beak is embroidered with just some scrap yarn that I had. So he is now done. My squirrel was already finished. Look at his bushy tail. So I brushed the tail. It's now all ratty and stuff, but I brushed its tail with a pet hairbrush. But my fox was not complete. So I had to brush out its tail, give him some ears, eyes, nose, and mouth. Oh, and I also had to stitch on its limbs. And then the tips of its ears, believe it or not, is Sharpie. I've never done that to any of my amigurumi before. And it kind of freaked me out because I was like, oh, I don't know about this paint. So she used paint markers, but I didn't have any black paint markers, so I just went with Sharpie. And originally I didn't read the pattern. So I tried using embroidery floss. Didn't quite come out right. And so I finally got to around reading what she used for it, and she said paint. And I was like, oh, okay. So I took out my stitches, which I wasn't happy about. And then I used a Sharpie, and it, to my surprise, it came out okay. I'm happy with it. And so this is going to my daughter. She's been waiting for this forever and a day. And again, this is one of my very first projects. But she can now have it. Here you go, baby.
After how many months? Not even
no,
months.
Years. My sixth finished object is this turtle blanket. So I blocked the blanket, wet blocked it. This was, yeah, I think this was already complete. And the star was already there, starfish, right? Yeah, starfish was already there. But the turtle is the guy that I needed to finish. So he had a bunch of loose ends that I needed to weave in, and his eyes were incomplete. So I had to stitch on his eyes. The parts were already finished. I gave him this little sparkle in his eyes. He kind of reminds me of Squirt from, what's it called? Finding Nemo. That's what he reminds me of. And so yeah, I'm super excited about him. It's just a blanket. It doesn't roll up into a little pouch. But that would have been cute if he were tiny enough, but I don't think it would fit. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's not big enough. But it's just super cute for a little baby to play with. And it doesn't have any safety eyes, so it's safe for little ones to play with. So he took me about 2 hours to finish, to stitch on his eyes. Let's see. Oh yeah, and he has a little mouth. And this pattern is from 1 and 2 Company. I think this is the very first pattern that I've done of theirs, and I forget what about their patterns, but their patterns are a little different. I don't know if it was a wording, but I had to kind of get used to their pattern. So, but I got it done. Get her done. Got her done. So yeah, about 2 hours. So my 7th finished object is this ice cream. So I had to remove I had to remove one of his little chocolate chips from his face because it was looking like a mole in the middle of his face and it was bothering me. So I just pulled it and snipped it and shoved the ends back in. But I gave him a face. That's what he was missing. Practically done, 99.9999% complete. Last time you saw him in video number 1, if you saw that. But he needed a face, and that's what I need. So this face, I just kind of winged it. The very first face, I wasn't happy with. I was just stitching whatever, made it, and called it done. And I asked Miko what she thought, and she was like, meh. So then I was like, she originally wanted to keep it, and when I showed her the face, she goes, nah, I'm good. I don't want to keep it. So then I was like, well, is the face that bad that you don't want to keep it? So then I took it out.
It was unrecognizable. It didn't look like any type of creature that was known.
I didn't even know what animal it was. So then I was like, okay, I'll try and fix up another face. And it was just made of embroidery floss, just some eyes and some generic mouth of some kind. Didn't like it. I should have took a picture, but anyways. So I landed with this. So he has some eyebrows, some safety eyes, but okay, so the thing about this is when your amigurumi is already closed up, and then you add your safety eyes, there's no way for you to secure it because there's a safety backing that you have to pop in on the inside of the amigurumi. It's either plastic or metal, and you just fasten it from the inside. And it was already closed. So basically what I did was I just put in the eye that has a post, so it goes into the amigurumi like this. But I glued it with E6000. And so this is going to Miko, right?
Well, I'm gonna see the other one first.
Okay, so I have another ice cream cone, the pink one in the first video, that she's gonna choose to pick which one she wants to keep. But, so yeah, this is a safety nose, this is a safety eye, but they are glued in. So I would never ever give this to a young one or a pet. You have to be very careful. So this is only for grown kids or adults. And this is felt, and embroidered little, I don't know what that is. So yeah, I'm super happy with this face. This is like 100 times better than the first one that I made. But I can now call him complete and check. This pattern comes from Make a Paper Boat, and it's a YouTube video that you can follow online, and I will have it linked down below. And it took me all of 1 hour to do his face because I was trying to figure things out, ripping things out. Yeah, and then, oh, and also I just glued on his snout. This is not sewn on, this is just simply glued with fabric glue. Okay, so for my 8th finished object I have Squirtle. And I'm kind of chuckling to myself because I'm looking at my notes and it's telling me that I took 20 minutes to finish him. He was 99.9999% complete, of course. And all I did was put on his eyes, post amigurumi, so it's glued in, and then I stitched in his cheeks. 20 minutes. Are you kidding me? What was I doing? Twiddling my thumbs in between each step. I have no idea why it took me 20 minutes, but that's what I have on my notes. So this pattern is from, again, Make a Paper Boat, and she has a YouTube video on how to make Squirtle. And yeah, that's it. And Nico is saying that it's missing its mouth, but Make a Paper Boat didn't put a mouth on there, so to me it's complete.
It looks like it's missing something.
I followed it according to pattern. Done. My last finished object, number 9, is this dragon. He comes from Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pow 1, book number 1. Earlier I did mention that Schenkel has 3 books called Animal Friends of Peek-a-Pow, but this one comes from the first one. Again, I only own the first and second. Third one is going to be on my bookshelf by the end of the year because it's going on my wish list. And if I don't get it from Santa Claus, it's coming out of my savings. Okay, so to finish him, it took me all of one day. One foot was incomplete, so I had to kind of finish him off. And again, the downfall to picking up a UFO over a long period of time, especially if you're like me and you're not taking good notes, I had to figure out what hook size I was using. I just kind of winged it, grabbed a 3.5 E hook, because that's typically what I use for this weight of yarn. I can tell what yarn I used, so I just went with it. Looks good, finished it up. Had a bunch of loose ends I needed to finish up and sew in. All of these spikes were already crocheted, but I needed to sew them on. The wings were already crocheted, I just needed to attach them. Ears were already crocheted, needed to sew them on. And also these horns were already crocheted, I just needed to stuff them and attach them. And now he is finally complete. And let's see, took me all of one day. These are a pain in the rear to sew on, but I love the look of it. Yeah. And let's see, so yes, and then I had to fill in its neck because the head was still not attached, so I had to finish the head. Wasn't quite complete, finish the head and the neck, and then attach the two together. Yep, and then that's it. So all of one day. So I completed 9 finished objects during this week, but I did also add in 1 more UFO, so it brought my total number of UFOs to 49. So I did 9 last week, 9 this week, 49. So how many do I have left, Miko? 49 minus 18.
30. Wait, how many?
49 minus 18.
Oh, 31.
31. So I have 31. I was feeling quite accomplished after finishing 18 finished objects. And then when I recalculate and I hear 31, I'm like, oh. I've got 2 more weeks to go. Well, 2 and a couple more days during the month of August to finish up my 49 UFOs. I don't expect to complete them all during this month. So whatever I don't complete, I hope to finish by the end of this year at the very least. And some of them I'm coming across, I may not be able to complete for one reason or another, and I will explain that as we approach them and we progress in our videos. So yeah, so I was feeling quite accomplished this week. I finished 9. My first week I finished 9. This week I finished 9 and I had some extra time. So I took Saturday, yesterday, a day off, and next month during September I will be helping, I believe is her name? Crystal from Chronically Crocheting. She wants to be a yarn fairy for Halloween, and so the crafting community or crochet community out there, especially those who are making amigurumi, are trying to pull together and make miniature I'm going like this because miniature, I'm thinking that fits within the size of her palm. Miniature amigurumi, so that she can pass them out during her trunk or treat, during her church event. And instead of giving out candy, she wants to be the yarn fairy and give them little yarn amigurumi. So because I had a free day and I was feeling accomplished, I made some things. So I made this guy. I knew that the pattern was, so the pattern says it used, I believe, I don't even remember, but it used some kind of yarn and it came out to about 3 inches. So I thought, okay, well, what if I use a smaller weight yarn and a smaller hook size and get it small? Well, this is how big it came. And to me, I think it's too big to give. So I think I'm gonna keep him for my stash, and I don't think I'm gonna remake him because size 3 yarn is, I think, the most that I'll go down. I have skinnier yarn. I think it still reads as a number 3, maybe a number 2, but I'm not very good with skinny weight yarn or small size hooks. And this was a size 3, and I used I believe a 3.25 millimeter hook, and it was okay. And I've even done a number 3 with a 2.75 millimeter, and that was okay, but I think that might be my limit. So yeah, this was an attempt to make a miniature ami, but it's too big, so that's okay. It's still cute. I love it, and I'm gonna keep it. Now this car is from my second video, and this was part of my UFOs, but he got done during my first week. And so because he's small, I think it's small enough. Maybe Crystal has bigger hands than I do, but I think it's small enough. Not like this guy. He's quite big. He's like 2 sizes of the car. So I think he's small enough to give away. So this is going to go to Crystal for her trunk or treat. I also made this. Kind of reminds me of Pusheen. And it's a cat, and it fits really nicely. So you can make this in multicolors. I don't know the pattern information for these, but I will link everything down below in the description in case you want to know. But I just don't have it on hand at the moment. So, and then I made these little, what do you call these?
Coin bags?
Coin bags from Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing coin bags. And look it's perfect. They're super teeny tiny. So this is my first one, came out perfect. And this was my second one. I tried to do it according to memory, and I got it wrong. So don't do it by memory. Follow his tutorial. And this pattern comes from Club Crochet, Louie at the Club Crochet. And he has a video on this. And this is from memory. Don't do it by memory, just follow his pattern and you will get it perfect like this. So I'm making a bunch of these because, and what I love about Louie's patterns and tutorials is, again, they're easy to follow, but he uses number 4 weight yarn, and that's like my go-to yarn. And he uses a G hook, which is bigger than what I'm used to, but whenever I grab my 4 weight yarn, I either gravitate to my E or an F hook, depending on how thick the 4-weight yarn is, because if you've been crocheting for a while, you know that 4-weight yarn can vary across the board as far as thicknesses. There's middle of the road 4-weight yarn, there's thinner weight 4-weight yarn, and there's thicker weight, heavy weight yarn. So middle of the road and thinner, I gravitate towards an E hook, 3.5 millimeter. And then the heavier weight, medium 4-weight yarn, I use a 3.75 or an F hook. And this is Premier Basics yarn. And for that, I believe it is a thicker weight 4-weight yarn. And so I use a 3.75 F hook. And that's my amigurumi zone. 4-weight yarn, E or F hook, I'm there. And I can make a miniature amigurumi with it. And so this was most comfortable to me. And so I'm gonna be cranking a bunch of these out. Now for these, I was trying to make them small. And so because of that, I purposely used a number 3 weight yarn and a 2.75 hook to try and get them small. And if it worked out, it worked out. Obviously the zombie didn't work out, but these worked out okay. But if I don't have to go down a hook size or a yarn size, I'm happy. And then I made, upside down. I made this Teru Bozu. I don't know what it stands for, but for some reason I feel like it has to do something with rain. I don't know. I'll have to research it and put it down below in the description. But this is a Teru Bozu, and it reminds me of a ghost. So I just thought I'd make him for Halloween because he looks like a ghost and he's cute. And look at how posh he looks with his how dapper he looks with his bow tie. And he fits nicely in the palm of my hand. And when you squish it, I like the way its little cloth just drapes. Makes him look even cuter. So.
Is believed to help stop the rain and guarantee that tomorrow will be sunny.
I was right. Okay, so Teru Bozu is a what?
Is believed to help stop the rain and guarantee that tomorrow will be sunny.
Yeah, so it's a Japanese character, I guess. So I am not Japanese. I am Filipino, but I do have Japanese influence. I was born and raised in Hawaii, and so is my daughter. But I was married to a Japanese. I studied Japanese during high school, during community college, and even university. And so, although I'm Filipino, I probably understand and speak more Japanese than I do my own native language. Well, I wouldn't call it my native language. My native language is English, but my own ethnic language, which would be Ilocano. And my family speaks to me in Ilocano, and I just give them the stare, the blank stare. And then I tell them, Auntie, English. What? And so they have to tell me in English in their heavy, thick Ilocano accent, but I love them to death. I love the heavy, thick Filipino accent. It's very endearing to me. That's what I grew up with, and that is my family. So, but yes, so Teru Bozu is a Japanese character, I guess, and it is believed to
stop rain and guarantee that tomorrow will be sunny.
There you go. Teru Bozu. But I thought he looks like a ghost, so it's gonna be for Halloween. If you guys don't know Teru Bozu, it's a ghost for Halloween. Then I made what are these called?
Among Us.
Among Us.
Crewmates.
Crewmates. I made this Among Us crewmate, and he's a little bit on the big side. I tried using a number 3 and a 2.75 millimeter hook, but this is how big he came. I think he's too tall. I think I need to, like, if I were to make him again, which I'm not sure I'm going to, I would make him short and stout. So I think I would remove maybe two lines of, how do you say?
2 rows?
I would remove 2 rows where there is no increases or decreases. And then I would also remove 2 rows from the backpack. And I don't know about this, but I would finagle with the pattern to make it look more short and stout. And yeah, or just follow another pattern. But I think he's too tall. But he came out okay. He's all right. So this is a yellow crewmate. The pattern designer that I followed, and this was a YouTube tutorial, which I will have down below in the description. She had a dead crewmate too, and I thought that was so cute. So it looks like half the body and then just like a bone sticking out. It was so cool. I like it. I like cute, creepy stuff. Well, that's just me.
I'm gonna remove 2 of those horizontal things, the lines.
And then this is the last one that I made, Pokemon ball. And this is also from Louie, the Club Crochet. And look, so, but this one, I think he used number 4 weight yarn, but I wasn't sure how big it was going to come out, so I used a number 3 weight yarn and a 2.75 millimeter, and it came out this big. But if I were to make this again, I think I would use a regular 4 weight yarn. So this pattern, I will say that in order to get these clean color changes, you see how it's super straight? He did a very unique half color change technique that I believe he's the only amigurumi designer that I know of that has taught that technique. And it's pretty cool, but it's more challenging. I wouldn't recommend it for beginners unless you are more an adventurous beginner and or a more advanced beginner. Then I would say, okay, go ahead, give it a try. But it was quite tricky. It's something that you have to get used to doing, but nonetheless, it's pretty cool. But you don't have to do the half color change technique that he uses in his video. You can do just regular color change if you want. It's just that the color change will not be as clean of a straight line. Like usually when you do a color change, you'll have a little bit of a, that doesn't really show very well, but it kind of has like little, it looks straight and then there's a spike and a straight spike, just because of the stitching, but you don't have the little spikes. This is pretty much a clean straight line as you can get. I mean, this is not perfect because I'm not used to the color change, but I thought it came out pretty cool and I love the size of it. But if I were to do this again for my comfortability, I'm gonna stick to number 4 weight yarn because his patterns uses 4 weight yarns and it still comes out pretty nice size for miniature amigurumi. So that's it for this week. If you still want to follow us on our journey, I will be making weekly videos on Sunday. YouTube permitting and video editing permitting during the month of August. And then next month, I will be posting again weekly videos, but the date may change. The days might change from Sundays to, I'm thinking maybe Mondays. You want to say something? I'm thinking weekly podcast videos on Mondays. We will see. But yeah, so if you want to follow us on our journey, please consider clicking that subscribe button. And until then, I will see you next week. Bye.